Welcome everyone to the first ever in existence, the SilverDegenClub Wall Street Silver Community Member interview. Yes, we have the first interview being done right now. I'm not delaying. Yeah, the claps are going. We have the beautiful and talented and sexy Silver Hermit here with us today. What is up, Silver Hermit?
How do you do?
How
everyone? I'm excited to be here.
So, Silver Hermit, who are you on Reddit? Just so that people know who you are.
Well, first of all, that's my new name. I've I refashioned myself as the Silver Hermit. I used to, first of all, on Reddit, I'm Mementoil because I live in Israel. And I've been a blogger, a financial blogger here in Israel, and I've been writing in Hebrew about the state of the economy and about precious metals for years and years, since 2013 to be exact. And I've had a blog, and I even started recently. I've started a YouTube channel in Hebrew. But since I think things are getting critical in the economic sphere in the world, around the world, so I've realized that I've got to move to English, and I've got to start creating materials in English. And so I have this really new, been launched just yesterday,
brand new baby boy channel. Yes.
Yeah, it's called The Silver Hermit, and we're going to discuss things regarding economics and precious metals, and as I say, why the world is going to hell in a handbasket.
That's right, and we'll definitely get into all that spicy stuff.
And I just want to add, there's already one first video on my channel, which is the Palace of Illusions. The Palace of Illusions is a short story that I wrote back in the day in 2014, I think, like it's almost 10 years ago. And the purpose of that story, that allegory, was for people to understand the meaning of fiat money. And the way I chose to explain this to people is by imagining this magical palace, in which people are living, and nobody's getting paid. Everybody's getting paid with IOUs, with little notes signed by the master of the house, who is this mysterious old nobleman. And by switching the identity of the issuer of the notes from a government or central bank to a private person, I try to make people understand what it means to live under a fiat system. And this is something I created just recently. I've just turned it into a short film, like an illustrated video, and I've uploaded it, and it got some traction in Hebrew, and now I'm hoping for it to get some traction in English. So go watch it, and there's going to be hopefully lots of stuff coming down the line.
Hell yeah, that's what I like to hear, man. I'm glad you have multiple channels now going, and I hope that 10 million people subscribe to the Silver Hermit on YouTube very soon.
Well, I need to enlist the 4,000 first. So
we'll get there.
How many do you need? How many do you need?
They lowered it a lot. So now you only need 500 followers and 3,000 watch hours. So to be able to unlock super chats and all that, the first tier of monetization that they like to call it.
Everyone listening, go to YouTube and be my first subscribers, because I'm trying to get it off, to get it going.
Yeah, come on, you fucks. There's like 600 of us now. Actually, yeah. So we just had 600. So I'm expecting by the time this is done airing, that you guys are going to all subscribe to the Silver Hermit right after this. But before we keep showing that, I want to get into some of the background. This is meant. We're doing this interview because I want to highlight community members that have had a huge presence in the community, or people that are new to the community. I just want to know what the community has to say, and what their experience has been, their background, all that good juicy stuff. And Silver Hermit, what is your experience in the Wall Street Silver movement, or the SilverDegenClub
Yeah.
movement? Any of that? What
That
do you got?
that's a long and interesting story. So, for those of you who don't know, I've been involved in Wall Street Silver from almost the first day, from the second day, and I've been tuned.
Oh, I just added a
Oh, you
window.
know what?
Yep. No, we're good. We're
Oh,
good. Yeah, I was just adding
oh,
the
good.
window.
No, for a second there, I thought I lost you. So I've been on Wall Street Silver from the very start, and since I've been working as my day job for years and years has been a graphic designer, and the moment they started talking about doing an ad campaign, so I realized that I have to step up. I have to help, and I uploaded some drafts. But my first draft, I got some feedback on it. I improved it, and it got a lot of traction. It got a lot of likes on the community in the very early days, and it was finally adopted as the official Wall Street Silver ad campaign, which is that famous red sticker and ad that we use at the very beginning, which if I may say so myself, became quite iconic. So,
Very
and I
much
need to
so.
mention, I've made that campaign. I've made that completely pro bono. I never charged anything. I wanted to give this to the community. As a matter of fact, lots of people from the community, but it was crazy in the first days. People like reached out to me and asked me like to modify it, do it in German, do it in French. We ended up translating this ad to like I think more than like 18 different languages, from
Oh,
anything
damn.
from German to Korean. I just and which anyone who reached out to me and wanted the files, wanted to print it, wanted to do something with the stickers. I thought it was amazing. It was the first truly viral campaign I was engaged in, because I've been through many commercial campaigns in the past, and I've worked with American clients. I've had American clients, but it's nothing like this, which was grassroots, which came from the people, and people wanted just. I mean, like we've had people printing this and walking around with signs in Alaska. We've had people with printing it on shirts, walking around in malls across the United States. I mean, like it was crazy. I mean, like it was exciting. But of course, as I think everyone know by now, the two people who were in charge of this community, after all the work I've done for them, and all the effort, all the work which was done, of course, without getting paid, they pretty much shunned me. I later on,
Classic. Yes.
yeah, what I thought the next thing I wanted to do was to set up a store on Redbubble and sell some T-shirt design. That's because I thought, let's make some cool T-shirt designs, and I thought maybe the community will adopt them like formally. And yes, I intended to make a few bucks from it, but it was mainly intended so that the community will have cool stuff, and you can look up in Redbubble. There I'm called Silver Voice, and I know it's not easy to find me there because the Redbubble algorithm is pretty terrible. But if you search Wall Street Silver, on Redbubble, and there's lots of cool stuff I've done there. Like I've done this mug with the Wall Street Silver shipping company, for instance. Like and it shows you
Oh,
like
yeah.
this ship which is going under, this like yacht going under. And I've done this Comex Tears mugs. You can like drink Comex Tears. And I've done all sorts of things. I've done all sorts of apes, cool apes, caricatures. I've done all sorts of stuff. I had this cool meme like authentic courage. I
Oh,
wrote
nice.
authentic courage,
Hmm.
and I like highlighted the AU and the AG, and it's like with
Beautiful.
the purpose of
Beautiful.
saying the message. Yeah, it's like if you're still stacking, then you have authentic courage, because you're able like to disregard everything that is going around in the world, and the thing that that stacking, that precious metals are so unpopular, unloved in this economic world, and still have the belief, still have
The
like the wherewithal
balls.
to understand that there's something behind them that transcends transcends time, that is beyond everything that is happening right now in Wall Street, and it's not a fad. It's not it's not some excuse me, a shit coin, some sort
Yep.
of a cryptocurrency which arrives on the stage today and will disappear tomorrow. This is something that's been around for thousands of years, for millennia, and we're still stacking. And if you still believe in it, it means you have conviction. Conviction, that's the word I was looking for, because it means that you have this inner feeling that there's something there, that something is wrong in the world. You're not wrong, the world is wrong. Now, and it takes a different, a special kind of person to be able to do that, to look at everyone else and say, you're all wrong. And I've got something, I know something about these precious metals. I know there's something about them. And okay, your next question.
No, no, that's beautiful. I'll highlight bring up your channel a little bit better here so that people can see it. Just so that they know, and I'll bring it back later. I'm gonna close that though, so you're highlighted here and stuff. And yeah, I think so. I guess it's safe to say you've had a strong influence on the community from the get go, and you're still part. Are you still part of the community? I
Meaning to say, I forgot to say. So I approached Jim and Ivan regarding that, designs, T-shirt designs in general, and they wouldn't do anything about it. Like they wouldn't answer my emails. And well, I didn't make much of it. Well, I thought to myself, well, maybe they're busy, they're in over their heads. But then there was a point in one of their YouTube videos that Jim said, "Oh, we should have a T-shirt store. We should do that." And then I emailed him again. Like, I have designs. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no. I'm more interested in junior mining stocks right now. This is what I'm doing right now. I don't have time for T-shirts. So I just realized, look, later on, when things blew up and I realized what kind of people they really are. Well, first of all, I realized that I came off cheap. Like, I didn't really get hurt by them. They shun me, but there are other people they hurt far worse than so I'm kind of fortunate that I didn't get hurt any more than that.
No, no,
But
that's good.
I think it's a shame, but because I thought from the very first day that the Wall Street Silver movement And the movement is the people, not the leaders, by the way.
Oh, always.
I
Wait,
find
hold that thought for 1 second. For
yeah.
some reason, when we hit the 20-minute mark, we start getting like a crazy amount of static. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call you back right now. Okay, so we sorry about that, guys. We had Discord crapping out on this issue, but we're back on the Zoom call. So
Hopefully you can hear us better.
so my goldfish brain remembers you talking about some of the we're talking about how this is community and not just two people, something similar to that, right? Do you
Yeah,
remember
that's
your
very
train of
important.
thought for that?
Well, it's obvious. Like, look, the leaders of a community, just like the government of a nation is not the nation, and you can replace the government, and the nation is still there, and nobody dares to imagine that what the government has done, like each and every person in that country is responsible for a crazy person who got into power. No, we just replace the leadership, and we start over. We say sorry. We've had a few crazy people here in the government, and they're gone, and we're gonna start over, and you get accepted back to the community of people. And same goes for internet communities. I think like the people leading the community are not the community, and there was a very good spirit in Wall Street Silver back in the day. There was this really, it was like we were gonna change the world. We've had so many people joining, and such a spirit of of camaraderie, of people wanting to help each other, share their knowledge, share their give strength, give advice to other people. You've had old timers, people who've been stacking for many years, and you've had young stackers, people with very little experience, and it was very positive, and there was no cynicism. It was very friendly. I remember back in the day. This is why I got hooked.
Yeah.
This is why I loved it. And in the first days of Wall Street, I like used to spend. I was at the time I started renovating my mother's home, and I I got I had to do it myself because housing nowadays and everything that has to do with housing nowadays is so expensive, and I'm the kind of kind of person who likes doing things himself, like with his own hands. So every time I used to take like a coffee break, immediately I'd log into Wall Street Silver, see what's new, see what's cool. And of course, when I got back home, making all sorts of memes, just uploading stuff, just to keep it alive, that wonderful spirit. And I've been writing, and I've been observing the economy. I've been watching Wall Street for over a decade, and the amount of cynicism and the amount of malevolence, like it's people there are like trying to destroy one another. And Wall Street Silver was like the antithesis. It was like the exact it was like, you understand what I mean.
It was
completely
pure
different.
spot. It was untainted.
Yes,
That's what it was.
and this is how I think people should be. And I think in a sane world, like not the crazy world we're living in today, in a sane world, this is how people are supposed to behave. They have no. It's when the resources are scarce, like they are today, in present day economy, when you have crazy inflation, when you don't have any growth, then instead of doing something beneficial for society, people start cannibalizing. They start eating each other. They start stealing from each other, because it's the easiest way to get along, and people become nasty towards each other, and I think the fiat monetary system, I blame that on the fiat monetary system, on corrupting our entire society. I mean, like, it's not just the leadership. I honestly think that the monetary system, the fact that we don't have sound money, the fact that we've had this fiat dollar for so many years, I think it actually corrupted society, and that was like the big conclusion that I arrived in. Was like I got like enlightened. It was
Yeah.
For years I was dealing with the economy. I was sure that we're going to have an economic crisis somewhere down the line, but it took me a while to realize that it's more than the economy. It's like there's an epidemic of corruption which is destroying everything good in our society, and I was watching the economy, but it's happening simultaneously in other places. I mean, like, it's happening in society, it's happening in culture, it's happening in the media, it's happening in academia. It's like it takes someone needs to take a step back and see that there's like this unifying source of corruption which is destroying everything in our society, and I think it has to do with the monetary system, but it also has to do with the spirit, the souls of the people who invented this system.
Yeah.
And I think that their corruption and malevolence, there's something contagious about it. Yes, this is the true epidemic that we have, not COVID. The true epidemic that we have, the true pandemic that we have nowadays is corruption. And in order to get through it, I don't know, I assume that we're not going to be able to reform the system like without any mayhem and without any chaos. I think we're beyond that point. I think there's going to need to be some kind of a collapse just so we can cleanse the system of all the negative people who took over it. I truly think.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I want to tell you, just the other day, I watched this video about psychopaths. I'm talking about like the clinical definition of psychopathy. And I said, that reminds me of our leadership. Like, not just
Yes.
in my country.
Oh yeah, all around, everywhere.
Each and every country. I mean, like, look, people don't know, but I used to be an officer in the Israeli Air Force back in the day, and I'm sorry to say, but back then I was kind of disgusted by the things that I saw. Not with the regular people, not with the soldiers or junior officers. I was disgusted by what I saw at the level of the senior officers.
Yeah, the actual people with rank. Yeah, with like real rank.
And I was just amazed. I mean, like, every organization and the Israeli Air Force too, I believe, is held by the small people. Yeah, they are the people at, maintaining the systems, maintaining the aircraft, like doing the work. And up there's like an elite, completely detached from what's happening, on the ground, that assumes to know better than you what should be done. And it was amazing. In most cases, they used to just destroy things.
Almost always, yes.
It was just amazing. They always gave you the wrong orders.
Trust me, 7 years in the Air Force for me, I saw the wrong orders constantly.
Right now it's dangerous because I'm sure there's plenty of people listening to this and thinking, oh, the Israeli Air Force is not capable. Oh, we should attack Israel or something like that. No, because back in my days, the small people, like the junior officers, we held the place together.
That's how it always is. That's how it always is, man.
Yeah, there were ridiculous orders coming from above, and we did what was necessary in order for things to operate correctly. And this is how things, this is how we managed to keep things together. And I was thinking, well, this is a crazy organization. I've got to get out of there. I got to get out of there. And rest of society can't be this way. Yeah, but it turns out that what I saw in the Air Force was a precursor for the rest of society. Because anywhere I went, it was the same thing. The higher ups were completely detached, were completely living in their own sphere, obsessed with promoting themselves, not promoting the organization or its causes, promoting their own selves, obsessed with money, obsessed with power, obsessed with telling people what to do, acting like complete psychopaths, and the people downstairs were doing all the work, getting very little pay, very little benefits, and somehow holding it all together. Now, the question is, how long can we go on doing this? At what point does the elite manage to just disrupt everything to such an extent that everything just collapses? And I think what we saw in COVID was, there was the beginning of it, because somehow the elite managed to just stop the world entirely. Just tell everyone, just stay at home.
Well, and they definitely fucked up by doing that, though, because now
and you saw what happened when the higher ups got what they wanted. I mean, like when they managed to absolutely just shut down the system, we got inflation. Finally, after years of warning, this is going to end in inflation. And I've been saying, back in March of 2020, when everybody was running with their hair on fire, with their heads on fire, yelling deflation, deflation, the stock market is falling. And I was looking in my blog to my readers in Hebrew. I said, this is going to end in huge inflation. And that was way, way, way before there were any signs of inflation.
Was that before the stimmies and before, or was that as the stimmies were getting
started? It was before the stimmies, but we already kind of knew that there were going to be stimmies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We kind of figured out there's going to be something. It was obvious, but it was already obvious that they're going to expand the money supply, like drastically, just to fund this craziness. So people are not working, factories are not operating, you're not making stuff, but you're handing out money so people can go on buying the stuff which was not made. So it's obvious, like you need to be complete idiot not to realize that this is going to result in inflation. But the higher ups, always the elite, always detached from reality, always living in those academic spheres, they think they know what's going on. It's the opposite. They know nothing. And somehow they get to make the shots. They to decide how we are going to live our lives. And it blew up in their faces. And at first they said, oh yeah, inflation is transitory. Oh no, it's not transitory. Oh, we gotta fight inflation. Now they're fighting inflation. What they're going to get is a recession. It's obvious. Inflation is not going to disappear, but the economy is over leveraged. It's obvious. After over a decade of ultra low interest rates and quantitative easing, which is money printing, nothing more than that, we're going to have the inflation. All the inflation that was created back then is going to come and bite us. And inflation is going to continue. It's going to persist. That's what I believe. But in the same time, the economy is going down the toilet. So we're going to have stagflation, which is what you get when you have a combination of a recession and inflation. And it's like back to the 70s all over again, and perhaps even much worse than that.
Well, we're definitely waiting for that to happen. It seems like it's around the corner, but every time it's around the corner, they find a new can to kick down a new road.
Like I must say, I don't want any of this to happen. Like I never wanted any of this. Like people don't know, but originally I was an artist. I was since I was a kid. I used to paint, and if people want to check out my art, my paintings, they can look up orenelbaz.com. That's ORENELBAZ.com, and you can find some of my paintings there. And if I would normally I would have nothing to do, not with economics or anything like that. I would just focus on my art and pretty things, beautiful things, and that's what I would like to do with my life even today. But I can't afford to do that. Well, first of all, because I never managed to make any money by selling paintings. That's almost
It's so
impossible.
hard, man. It's so.
Yeah, it's very
I've
difficult,
my whole
especially here in
family
Israel.
is. Oh yeah.
Really, people are not interested in art here, and they don't have any money to spend on art. Forget it. It's just not happening. Never mind. So I started getting interested in other fields just because, well, I need to make a living, but also because things are so wild out there. Things are so crazy out there that you can't look away. You need to know what is going on the world stage, so you can protect yourself, so you can survive this craziness. So about I think after the 2008 financial crisis, it's when I started to be aware of economics. And back in the day, I lived in Tel Aviv. I had a small business, and suddenly you have an economic crisis. Everything shuts down. All your projects get canceled overnight, but still have to pay your rent, right? You still have to pay
Yep.
your bills. And there were no stimulus back then, right? So I just, I had to fold everything. I had to close the business. I had to move back to my parents for a while till I got back on my feet. But the conclusion I had from that is that, okay, the economy is not something that you can just disregard. It's not something that you can just, okay, say we'll just leave it to the smart people in like the central bank, the Bank of Israel, or the Treasury, something like that. They're going to take care of it. No, no, we can't afford it anymore. We, each and every one of us, has to have some knowledge of economics, some basic knowledge of economics, so we can deal with the craziness that is going on. And hopefully, I was starting to say I never wanted any of this to happen, but I realized that another financial crisis, the size of 2008 or greater, is inevitable, because everything always gets postponed. Every time they always kick the can down the road, right? Every time we have any inkling, any start of a crisis, like we just had with the banks, with SVB Bank
Yeah.
in the US. So they paper over it. They just print a bunch of money and they just bail everything out, and hey, everything's okay, and the stock market is starting to rise again. So just go to sleep. Don't notice it.
It's
Just
all
go to
good.
sleep.
Don't worry
It's
about
all
that.
good. It's all good. And they've managed to, and I'm just amazed that they've managed to do this for so long, but they have. But the thing is, the more they paper over, the bigger the problems become. Everybody should be aware of it. The problems don't go away. They get postponed, but then they reemerge, and they're always bigger and bigger and bigger, and finally they're going to be so big that you won't be able to postpone things any longer. The things are just going to blow up, and it's just going to be this huge economic crisis, and we just we need to protect ourselves. There's nothing else we can do.
Well, and that's some of the biggest things that I was trying to reflect back on even the 2008 crisis that you're talking about. Because for me, I grew up poor as shit. Still pretty poor now. But when
Tell me
you're
about it.
but but when you're in that survival mode, like that survival mode grind set, where you're just trying to, paycheck to paycheck, just get through the month, and then, or get through the day, depending on how bad it is. People don't I didn't even know what happened in 2008. That was I was already in the military for about maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years at that point. I had no idea that was going on. It was just so far removed from anything that I even had the ability to focus on that like I didn't even know what happened. It was complete. I was completely oblivious to it, and I could guarantee like the vast majority of the people I knew as well during that time, they had no idea about it because they were also poor and also just trying to survive day to day. And we're in a unique situation now where, at least with the SDC and WSS, that we could actually try to inform people of what any of this means. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's an important point. Well, I wanted to say the 2008 crisis, it really opened my eyes to understand that the economy is crucial for the lives of everyone. It's getting so critical. The situation is getting so critical that I think soon everybody is going to start to get interested in economics because you won't have any choice. But the thing is, when we started Wall Street Silver, um, there was a realization. I have to attribute it to many other people who wrote on that forum, and all the analysts, the old timers, people who like Mike Maloney or Peter Schiff or people like that who and of course the silver analysts, the people who gave us this idea that silver can be squeezed. And there was this realization suddenly emerging that silver was the linchpin of the global economy. I know this sounds far-fetched, but people need to realize this. This is a very precious and useful commodity which is in short supply, and its price is probably, because we don't know for sure, there hasn't been true price discovery in many, many decades.
Yeah.
We don't know its true price. I mean, like, it could be $2 an ounce, it could be $2,000 an ounce, it could be 20,000. I don't know. I have no idea. And I don't think there is an analyst who can tell you the future price of silver like with any certainty, because the market has not been allowed to function correctly. So you have this thing, this artificial construct, which they call the price, which in my view it's not even a price really, because nobody, not you and I, we can't buy silver at spot, right? And we've already seen the beginning of this bifurcation between the spot price and the true market price. And it's probably going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until, one day you could wake up and the spot price will continue to be $25, but you won't be able to get any silver for any kind of money. Perhaps, I don't know, someone will say, pay me $2,000 an ounce. And it's going to be a joke at first. Like, he's going to think, nobody's going to pay me $2,000 an ounce. I have some silver. I'll give it to you for $2,000 an ounce. And there's going to be someone who's going to be desperate enough to get silver who's going to say yes.
That's very possible. I mean,
if you're desperate for silver, excuse me for rocking the
Oh no, you're good.
chair, for rocking the table. If you're Samsung or if you're Apple, if you're a big corporation that needs to produce consumer electronics, you need to crank out those iPhones, and you need just a tiny bit of silver in those iPhones. But the entire iPhone can't get out without that tiny amount. And if you offer like $2,000 an ounce, it's going to make the iPhone $1 more expensive per unit.
So,
let's say.
so you mean a new iPhone will only cost $2,001 now?
Yeah, I don't know how much it costs right now, but it's just gonna cost one more dollar than it costs today.
Yeah,
I think
it's gonna
somewhere
be
I
so
looked up.
small. It's gonna be
There
so
was a
small.
research I read not long ago that said that in average iPhone smartphone, there are 30 milligrams of gold, and on average, 30 milligrams of gold and 100 milligrams of silver.
Well,
Right?
I do like that ratio.
100 milligrams of silver. That's 1/10 of a gram, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a tiny amount.
That's a very small amount. And
It's like
that
take 2,000 an ounce divided by 311, and you will arrive at the number the extra cost needed to produce that iPhone if silver goes to $2,000 an ounce.
But you know those bastards are gonna add an extra 500 regardless and be like, "Oh, the
Yeah,
silver."
I don't care about it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't care about it so long as they open their purse and pay. As long as they are willing to pay, because the moment they are desperate enough, and the moment there isn't silver to be had to produce basic stuff that we use every day, then suddenly you will get true price discovery. And by the way, so that everybody is clear, I didn't say the price is going to $2,000 an ounce. I don't know the price. Nobody knows the price because there is no true price discovery. That's the pretty much the only thing I can say with certainty about silver.
I think if anyone is saying anything with certainty, then they're just lying, or or they have a crystal ball that they've never used before, but are looking at it now. So it's well, I know we've had there's a lot of people in the space that make price predictions and stuff, but it's like bro, you don't know what it's gonna be, man. Like we can all speculate and stuff as long as they're being honest
We
that
can
they're
all
speculating.
speculate, and it's a fun, it's nice to do. It's because it's entertaining, but it doesn't have any more value than that.
It's true, and
We need what we really need. Okay, I was starting to say, why is that the linchpin of the entire economy? Because it's such a scarce commodity, and it's needed for so many things. And if the price of silver jumps, then there's going to be a lot of other producers of commodities who are going to ask themselves, just a second, if the price of silver has jumped by so much, then perhaps I'm not pricing my commodity at the correct price. And why am I taking the price from the commodity exchange? Why am I accepting that they are the ones who set the price? Because this is how things go. This is how things go today. I've heard an analyst just a short while ago saying, "Oh, all commodity producers are price takers. They're not price setters. They don't set the price of their own product." Why is that so? That makes no sense to me. At the end of the day, any price, Austrian economics has taught us, it should be the result of a negotiation, true negotiation, between the buyers and sellers. It's very simple. It's called the free market. And if you don't have that negotiation, and you have this like organization that has the ability or the authority to set the price based on something which is not based on tangible goods exchanging hands. You have those futures, those future contracts. You can create out of nothing at any quantity that you like, and you can gamble with them, and you can use them for all sorts of nefarious purposes, and they are completely, again, as we talked earlier about the elites getting completely detached from the simple people who are producing the stuff. Yeah, that's
constantly,
yeah, that's just another manifestation of the same principle when you have this commodity exchange, which is run by those speculators and by those gamblers,
for the sake of, I don't know, just making a few bucks on the back of the people who are producing the commodities. And just, we're in the uh, Western world, we're lamenting our condition, but just think about the poor people in, for instance, Mexico, who are, we as we all know, is the largest silver producing country in the world. And they were getting shafted for years and years and years, because if silver was priced according to its probably true price, probably would be much higher, then they would be able to get much higher wages, and Mexico itself would get a lot of tax revenue from exporting this silver, and would be able to put some of that money into, housing, schools, hospitals, all sorts of benefits, all sorts of services for the people. So the Mexican people got shafted. Now, if you ask me, why do Mexican leaders allow this to happen? And the only answer I can come up with, of course, I have no knowledge from within. The only reason why the leaders of any country would accept that their people are working for nothing, for peanuts, is because someone from Washington D.C. came and lined their pockets to sit
Yep.
down and do nothing. So that's the epidemic of corruption, which is spreading from Washington D.C. to every other country, from Wall Street to every other country. So and creating conditions, situations which would never happen in a free market. Crazy things are happening. Now, the thing about crazy things, and people need to realize this, they can't last. They can't last for long. But because eventually market forces will prevail. I still believe that. Although, I've been covering this market for like over 10 years, and I've seen all those outrageous things happening, and there is no recourse. Never. But I still believe that a correction is going to come, and it's going to come swiftly. It's going to be very powerful. It's going to be powerful because the bigger the distortion, the bigger the correction that needs to come afterwards in order to cleanse that distortion from the market. So this is what I believe will happen, and there's a really big wave coming. I'm surprised that it took so long, but I still believe it's going to come.
Well, we already know that we've seen cracks everywhere. So we are seeing the fracturing and I guess foreshadowing of what you're talking about with the correction that's going to come, because like just look at the nickel market. So when that happened overnight, didn't it? When nickel
Yes,
exploded. So that was
exactly.
overnight.
It was just a preview. It was just a small preview of things to come, I believe.
And that's going to
If
keep
every
happening.
time you can, you can, it's like you can imagine that this market, it's like a steam. No, how do you call it? When you have this a boiler, this huge boiler with it's overheating. The
Yeah, you
temperature is
see all the
rising.
dials, all the gears flying
The
off of it and
Yeah, the
shit. Yeah.
pressure is apparently it's still holding, right? It's still
It's
intact.
still good. It's fine.
Yeah, but you see also suddenly you see a bolt flying. Like
It's just the
that's
one
what
bolt.
you don't want.
They have 15 others. It's just one.
Like there's a bolt flying, and suddenly some of the steam is starting to leak out. Like the steam, and everybody starts, terrible. But the people in charge of the system, they plug the hole, and they turn around and say, you see, everything is okay. But the boiler is of course still overheating, and although they replaced that missing bolt, the entire boiler is going to blow. We don't know when. We have no idea. This is a non-linear system, as we say. We can't anticipate the exact moment in which something gives and something ruptures, to such an extent that they can't fix it, and it's probably going to happen sometimes. We need to be ready for that day, and also we need not to be too excited when a bolt is flying. For instance, when SVB fell, that bank, I wasn't too excited about that. Well, yeah, we have. I was on a podcast with two of my friends, and we were talking about this banking crisis. And yeah, they're gonna fix it. They're gonna bail it out, and things are going to go back to normal for a while. For a while, it's only if a really big bank falls, or if the stock market melts down, like totally, then perhaps it's going to be the big event. Maybe then it's going to be the big event. By the way, I think that the stock market is getting ready. It's just my personal opinion. I think the stock market is getting ready for a serious correction. I'll say it like that.
Well, it seems like it is. I mean, how many days can you see Nvidia make an all-time high before you're like, what the fuck is going on right now? It makes like a new all-time high every day. It's so crazy to me.
People need to realize it's not, not everybody. I think many people in our community already understand that it's nothing to do with Nvidia, everything to do with cheap money. And when you infuse the system with cheap money, it needs to go somewhere. It needs to find some outlet. And for years it was the Nasdaq and the high flying tech stocks, and then it was crypto. And by the way, I don't like crypto, and I don't like Bitcoin. I never liked Bitcoin, and I always felt that there was something funny about it, and something not entirely honest and not entirely straightforward about it. But I think some people think that crypto is the answer, that Bitcoin is the answer to our money problems, and the fact that it has risen, the price risen so much, they attribute it means that it's successful. Certain people think so, and certainly if you got rich by holding crypto, I understand why you would think so. You would think that way because you're being encouraged by your bank account, right? But there is a very strong, or there used to be, usually there's strong correlation between the Nasdaq and Bitcoin. And lately it hasn't been this way, I know, but if you look at the big picture, I think the entire crypto sector is just behaving like yet another tech stock, yet another Nvidia. So when there's hype, when there's easy money flowing, sure, crypto will rise with all the other financial assets. But I think when people finally realize that A, we have inflation, B, the Fed cannot come to the rescue, or if the Fed does come to the rescue while we have inflation, then it's going to exacerbate inflation, and finally we might end up with a hyperinflation in the collapse of the dollar, right? And believe me, that's not good for stocks. Okay, stocks may rise nominally, but in real terms, that's not good for stocks. And people who in this community, they know that we're going to have a new commodity super cycle because, historically, in inflationary times, commodities do best. And I don't believe that we can completely discount history, everything that has happened before our days, and say, no, we've rewritten the books of economics, and inflation is just going to make crypto go higher, or are we going to have a CBDC and it's going to make inflation disappear? I just don't believe it. I think that the forces of economics are stronger. That any person in the Fed or the ECB or in Washington, I think the laws of economics are going to prevail, and this is what's giving me strength to go on with this crusade.
Well, yeah, man, and I guess you could say the exuberance and the degeneracy of investing in basically anything at this point. It doesn't even matter what it is. I saw a TikTok. There was I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was like investors of TikTok on Twitter, and this guy was pitching a new version of an NFT. It was a non-fungible plant. So it wasn't NFTs anymore, but now it's plants that you inject. Real plants. Where you inject the DNA of the blockchain into the plant, and now it became a non-fungible plant that held the data. Don't worry about all that. Then why are you asking so many questions? Why haven't you invested all your life savings into this yet?
Is that Monsanto coin or something like that?
Well, it's not even a coin; it's a plant. So I don't even know how is that the blockchain? It made no fucking sense, but it was hilarious, and that guy was dead set on selling it.
Look, we've been living in an age in which everything that makes sense doesn't work. Everything that doesn't make sense works.
Always works.
Everything has been turned on its head. Like, if you're being rational about investing, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere. If you're being irrational, then you're going to turn into a billionaire. So we've, like, this market, and I think it's it's engineered. It has benefited irrationality. It has encouraged irrationality, insanity. And then why are you surprised that everyone has become insane? That everybody is behaving like a madman?
Yeah, I mean, their only option.
Incentivized to do so.
Yeah, you have to do the dumbest thing to make the most money, and that's the best way to make money right now.
What is commodities? Like, we are still, we're not digital beings, right? We're living human beings. We need commodities. We need food. We need drink. We need shelter.
Not in the metaverse,
clothing. We need all those boring things. Like, okay, and I used to ask my friends. Okay, let's suppose Bitcoin disappears tomorrow morning. You just wake up and there is no Bitcoin. How many people will die? And I don't mean by suicide. How many people will die? And the answer is 0. Nobody will die because Bitcoin disappears, because Bitcoin is not vital to anything. But for instance, if you wake up tomorrow and all the wheat in the world is gone, how many people will die? Oh, plenty of people will die.
Yes.
All the rice, all the corn, all the
all the water. Yeah, all the water. Yeah.
Disappears. Everyone dies. Okay, if you wake up tomorrow and there's no gold, no silver, okay, there are dire consequences to that too, because that means you can't produce any consumer electronics. So that means pretty much soon all your systems, all your networks are gone, all your smart and everything that relies on that also gone. That's a huge part of the economy now. So we rely on commodities to exist, and yet these are the least coveted. These are the least appreciated assets out there. The world has been turned on its head. We need commodities in order to survive, and yet nobody wants to invest in commodities.
They're not sexy. They're just not sexy enough. We need those NFTs.
People need to understand that there are consequences to investment, and if the top performing stocks in your stock exchange have to do with technology, high tech, and things like that, and nothing up there has to do with agriculture or mining or like heavy machinery, or you know what I mean, the stuff we need in order to survive. That means we haven't invested in those fields. That means we're not going to get any more of these stuff because we haven't invested in them. It means that there's scarcity of funds going to these businesses. The businesses who are producing them, either not making any money or going out of business or just downsizing. And eventually you're going to have scarcities. You're going to have shortages in all those commodities. And then you know, you can engineer their price all you want, but you're just not going to have. You're not going to have the food. And again, these are things that I've been telling people for years. That one day you've got $1 billion in your account, and you go into the store and you say, I want some, I don't know, groceries, I want bread. And the clerk is going to tell you, oh, there is no bread. And then you're going to say, what do you mean? I'm going to pay you $100. No, there is no bread. $1,000. No, sir, there is no
Still
bread.
not there, man.
$1 million for a loaf of bread. It doesn't matter. Sir, there is no bread. So it doesn't matter how many dollars you have. That's what we do all day. We run, we try to earn dollars. But at the same time, we're not investing in those vital commodities that we need in order to survive. So eventually we could end up in a situation that we have all the dollars in the world and they can't buy anything. That's the true danger that we are facing.
Yeah, and that seems to only be a problem, and that the people in charge, the elitists, they're only going to do something about it when it affects them. So they're not going to do shit about it right now. All the poor people can't buy bread. They don't give a fuck. But if they can't buy bread, they're going to care.
You're not going to see them. When it gets really bad, they're going to just, you know, they're going to lock themselves up in Cheyenne Mountain. You're not going to see them. You're not going to hear them. Maybe on TV, if you know, they're going to send you a few messages. Be strong. Be strong. Well, there is no bread. But there's going to be riots, like everybody. Like, come on. There's going to be riots. It's going to be a mess.
Okay, so I wanna get into that a little bit. So because I think we're past the hour point, but I want to get into a few questions that are kind of standard for this format. So what is your best dystopian outview that's probably gonna happen?
The best scenario?
No, I mean like the worst though. I'm saying that because I'm sick.
The worst thing I can imagine right now is World War III, because until the invasion to Ukraine, I didn't think a world war was probable, and I'll admit I didn't see that one coming, because I always thought that it was more probable that we're going to have an economic war rather than a hot war, a shooting war, because it makes more sense. Because it's you if somebody, like they're trying to do right now, the BRICS nations launches a gold-backed currency, like you can't go to the UN and say, oh, that's outrageous, that's terrible, we're going to have sanctions on them because they dared launch a gold-backed currency. Oh, that's terrible. But I'm afraid Putin was not wise. In my view, he was not wise in invading Ukraine, because he gave the West legitimacy to sanction him, and he missed the opportunity to win the war without shooting a single bullet. And that's the best thing that you can do in a war. And by the way, I always thought, I was talking earlier about silver being the linchpin of the economy. I still believe that by squeezing silver, we can somehow prevent that terrible scenario we were starting to discuss. Because we can somehow take back control over the system before it gets really bad.
Well, not just that. If Illuminated Ape, he's gone over this a few times. Not in full detail. He has a lot of research under his belt still on this, but just the military aspect of it alone, the amount of silver being just blown up every day, that is a very huge number that is unaccounted for right now.
Yes, definitely. And so this is now a nuclear war is my greatest fear. and frankly, I've no answer to it. It's not like I have a, an atomic shelter in my backyard, and nor can I construct one. I mean, like it's like it's too big on. There's nothing I can do. But there's a whole range of other scenarios that are just as equally plausible. I mean, like this could end in just a really bad recession or depression, and no World War III. It's possible. And of course, there's another scenario that things drag on forever and nothing happens.
That's one of the ones that I find most likely and most terrible.
For my readers, I never told my readers A, B, and C is going to happen point blank. I never talk like that. I always present them with scenarios. I always try to discuss what is more plausible, what is more reasonable, what is less probable, and we try to give answers to each and every scenario, from the simple ones to the extreme. And frankly, right now, I think the extreme scenarios are getting more and more probable, and I think I started talking about a global hyperinflation back in 2013. Like that's 10 years ago. Like I admit I've been early, very early, but I don't think I was wrong on that. And at the time, it was like an extreme scenario. Now, in my view, it's becoming more and more plausible. It's becoming more. We're seeing it every day. Like we're getting closer to it.
Now, I kind of feel like there's so many fun options on the table when it comes to the dystopian future that is happening tomorrow or we're currently living in. So I kind of feel like this UFO thing still has some legs. I don't think they're done with that yet. I think we're gonna have Starship Troopers.
Knowledge of the matter. It's interesting. It's an interesting topic, no doubt. But I have no knowledge of the matter, and as far as I'm concerned, this could be A, real, B, a complete red herring. This could be like something that they needed a diversion, and look, UFOs. It's completely possible that this is the story.
Well, I used to play this. I think it's called emergency broadcasting systems, or like EOSs or something. But they make up these fake scenarios, like world-ending scenarios, basically, and they try to make it like a real televised broadcast where you hear like the sirens going off and everything, and they were always talking about an alien, and one of them they talked about an alien threat, and it made everyone in the world unite under one currency, and everyone had to get assigned a new ID, a world ID, and there was only going to be one currency for everyone. Everyone would be assigned a job. Everyone would be scanned to make sure they weren't an alien, and then it was just us against the aliens. But it never really showed the aliens in any respect. But the world was just assumed that we were fighting these aliens, and I kind of see that as a possible thing as well, maybe. an invisible enemy, kind of like COVID, that you can't see it. It might be there. Is it there? We don't know. But hey, it's causing trouble.
What the people, the higher ups, the elites, they can come up with all sorts of crazy stuff in order to try to preserve their power. And there's the entire discussion of CBDCs right now, and I really think there is a potential that CBDCs, I say that regrettably, that I see the potential of CBDCs to preserve the system for a few more years.
Oh, dude, I think it's gonna preserve it a long time. That was actually my next question.
I don't know about the long time thing, because eventually inflation is going to persist. You're gonna have inflation in CBDCs too. It's just that you will be powerless to resist inflation. Now you can go buy some gold or silver, but with CBDCs they can just say, okay, you can't buy gold or silver, and your card will just you'll try to call Andy Sheckman, and you're going to try to buy some gold and silver, and just the card won't respond.
Can't
No,
that the carbon score on buying silver is just too high, man. You can't go over your carbon limit on your.
no, no.
That's
It's gonna not
it's
have
gonna be
nothing to
something
do
dumb
with
like
price.
that. It's gonna be
You're
something
just
dumb
not
like
not
that.
allowed to buy certain things, and it's programmable money, so you can do it. It's technologically feasible. They just need to issue those CBDCs, and they need to get enough people into the system, and then they just need to cancel cash, the paper notes, so you have no way to bypass the CBDC, and then that's it. Everybody's locked in the system, and supposedly, but there's still going to be inflation because they will still have the temptation. It's going to exist to issue more and more and more of those digital dollars. It's not going to go away, and the supply of tangible goods is not going to suddenly, because there's the CBDC, it's not going to suddenly jump, and we're going to have all the commodities, all the food we can possibly want. No, of course not. They always think, they come up with those plans. They think that they're so smart. They think they can somehow engineer the system so everything's going to be fine, everything's going to stable. But it doesn't work this way, because if you see the elites, what they're trying to do always, they're trying to circumvent the laws of economics. And this is something like the laws of physics, the laws of nature. This is something you can do. You can't do. You can't divide by zero. Okay? You can't do that. So it doesn't matter what kind of a system you devise, it's not going to work. So maybe it's going to give life to the system for a few more years, but then it's going to collapse again. Just as
Yep.
it's collapsing right now.
What progress do you know of that's going on with CBDCs in Israel right now? Is there any attempts at
Oh,
it,
that's a
or
big question. There was an interview that the vice, the second in command in the Bank of Israel gave. I think it was a year and a half ago, saying that Israel is advancing towards, is doing a pilot with CBDCs, and we're one of the few countries in the world who are doing that. We were like chosen, and that was very worrying. By the way, it was buried in some, in the back of the. It was not on the front of the paper. It was somewhere in the back. It was obviously buried so that on one hand they were going to be able to say, see, we told you that we're doing it. We didn't hide anything. But nobody. If I go ask people right now, friends and members of my family, if they know what the CBDC is, they're completely oblivious. They never heard of it. They have no idea what it means even. But yes, I think we are advancing in that direction, and we haven't heard anything official. There hasn't been anything issued yet still. So we're waiting to see.
doesn't it make you
know.
feel weird that when you, because so I'll tell you something I did recently. I had to open a new bank account, and it was at Chase, and when I went there, the normal tellers, when you open up a new bank account, at least here, you don't open it with the just the normal tellers. You got to go to like the assistant manager or someone that's in charge of that section. But they're not low ranking in the banking branch that they're actually at. I was asking him a bunch of random, very simple questions just because I was bored and he was taking a little while. He was nice, but damn, he didn't know anything I was talking about. I asked him about Fed Now, what he thought about that, how it was affecting the bank there. I asked about the inflation rate, what he thought about the new inflation rate that came out. I asked him about interest rates. He didn't have any idea what else. Literally no idea. No idea.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, so is it just us, like just the fucking like 200,000 apes in Wall Street Silver and STC that are actually paying attention to this? Because like it seems like every fucking person I ask doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Look, I remember a time not long ago when the discussion of a CBDC, it was in the realm of conspiracy theory. But now we have officials in the IMF, in the World Bank, talking, publicly about CBDCs, how they want CBDCs, how they're moving towards CBDCs. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is reality. And the fact that, people on the ground have no idea, like people in the bank have no idea, never heard about it, but officials, top-ranking officials are talking about it. It means that something nefarious is happening. It means that something is happening behind the curtain, and the people up there, they are probably scared, they're probably kind of desperate, because they know the fiat monetary system is kind of collapsing. They know it, and CBDC is like this desperate measure to plug it, to like transition to the next thing, but still allow them to go on and issue and create that inflation that they're so enamored with, that they love so much, they can't live without, they can't imagine anything else, so they have to go on creating that inflation. So I think they came up with that CBDC idea and they're running with it, but I don't think they themselves are sure that they have the necessary infrastructure to make it work. And this is why the Fed now, I think, was launched, because it's probably, I'm guessing, it's probably going to be part of the infrastructure. Now,
How many years? 2
I
or
don't
what?
know.
I think like 2 years tops before it's
I
implemented.
think they were not ready in terms of the infrastructure, and they are afraid that if they launch something prematurely and the infrastructure is not ready and it's going to collapse for it, because you need to launch a system, and you need hundreds of millions of people to be able to use it on day one, and it cannot collapse, because if it collapses, then it's going to lose all credibility, and immediately you're gonna have voices in the in the political arena saying, no, this is not working well, we can't afford to move to such a thing, we don't, the infrastructure is not ready, and then it's going to get buried, they're not going to be able to launch it in time. They are trying to, I think they're trying to launch it to get to the point in which it's stable enough so it doesn't collapse at first, but they are also pressed by time. They don't have a lot of time. They need to get it rolling, so by the time the next crisis arrives, it's already in place, so they can use it to manage the next crisis. And you know what? I'm not sure I think they're late. I think they're already late. I think they should have, if they really wanted to use the CBDCs to stop inflation and to, for it to be the infrastructure for universal basic income, which they're probably thinking of.
That's definitely going to be part of it, yes.
And I think they should have already been ready with that a year ago. It's already too late.
Maybe they do have it ready, or to some extent mostly ready, like you were saying, and maybe they're just waiting for something big to happen next so they could just do it overnight.
I'm sorry, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It needs to be up and running. I mean, like, even if it runs alongside paper notes, not instead of paper notes, running alongside paper notes as a pilot. No, it should have been running already. It needs to be there, so when the crisis comes, they're going to say, oh, look, we have this system, it's up and running, it's wonderful, it's working, let's use that. But you can't just, in the middle of a crisis, launch a completely new system, like out of nowhere. People are going to reject it, I think.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Us Americans, we're pretty. We love those stimmy checks and we love those UBIs. So.
Yeah, but you need in order to cancel paper notes, and CBDCs have to be the only alternative for them to work. You have to cancel the paper notes. Otherwise, there's no point in having the CBDCs. So you need to have the CBDCs first before you can cancel the paper notes. It takes time.
It
Like
does. It
there's an
does.
adoption curve, right?
And there's going to be probably some sort of incentive where it's like
I
every
think they're
dollar.
late. I think
They're
they're too
probably,
late.
yeah, they're probably way too late. And
Yeah, I think they're already too late, and I think they're really, really praying and hoping the crisis will take longer to appear, so they have time to launch this thing.
do you think, because I always thought they would do something similar to like, okay, so we're going to launch a CBDC, and now cash is going to be illegal, 2 to 6 months from now. But in the meantime, if you turn in your cash, you're going to get a 20% premium on it. Something like that. Because you got to incentivize people to get
Well,
rid
that's
of it.
gonna happen. They're gonna come up with something like that, or I don't know. If you use CBDCs, then we're going to eliminate your student debt.
Oh, yeah, that for sure. That's going to go. That's going to be gone real quick when the next
They're gonna
big
come up
thing
with
happens.
something, some kind of an incentive. It's gonna, some kind of a honeypot. Of
And
course.
the social credit score. I mean, I don't. Have you seen any of the Black Mirror episodes?
Yes.
Oh, they're so good. I mean, they basically.
Yeah.
Which episode hasn't come true yet? That's the real question.
Yeah.
right?
Dystopia turns into reality, just like yeah, just like that.
Well,
Yeah.
all this is crazy, man. But thankfully, we do have Silver. We do have each other. We have
We
everyone
have
in the
each other,
community.
which is even more important.
And that is the most important thing, man. Because I appreciate you spending time with me to hang out. I know we're cutting this probably a little shorter than normal, but I definitely want to have you back on the next time you're free too. And
I'll be very. I enjoyed talking to you, and it was I had a great time, and I hope to do it again sometimes. I want to say, you spoke about community. The most important thing. How do people? What is sanity? Sanity is looking at the people around you and seeing what they're doing and getting a feedback on what you're doing, and feeling that you're not completely crazy because you're getting some kind of a positive feedback. And for a person today for Stacker to walk around in the world where nobody is interested in precious metals and everybody is chasing crypto and stuff like that, and you feel like a crazy person. Really?
no, you do.
I
You
myself, I
do.
feel like a crazy person. And so having a community of like-minded people is the only way to keep your sanity. It's
Well,
the
yeah.
best thing.
Well, not only that. I mean, a community of like-minded people that are willing to get out of the echo chamber as well. People like you that are willing to like you look at all the information. I mean, yeah, we're always going to be biased, whatever our opinion
And
is.
keep
and
an open
stuff.
mind about
Yeah, you got to keep open
Look,
mind about stuff.
I frankly, well, I try. At least I try. Look, if you came to me today with proof and like stuff and show me that everything that I thought was true was false, and paper notes are great and they're not going to collapse, and silver is worthless, and why are you wasting your time? And if you were to make a good enough case, I may be persuaded, because I'm open to be persuaded. I'm not locked on any certain opinion. I try not to be, because I try to come with a scientific approach to the entire thing. But until this very day, I have not heard a single good argument that would change my mind, that would convince me that paper notes are good, that the fiat monetary system is stable, and that precious metals are worthless. I haven't heard that argument yet. I'm still waiting
Yeah.
for it to come.
I don't think that argument's ever gonna reach your ears, but it's interesting, man. I want to add this too. I know I was kind of like on the ending part of it, but I wanted to ask you as well, and be honest about it. How do you think we're doing with? How do you think when I say we, I mean me, Illuminated Ape, Chief Banana Jam, all the mods and stuff. How do you think we're doing so far with SDC and WSS?
Well, I what can I say? I don't I can't put myself in your shoes. The task is great. I think you're doing a great job. But the task is simply great. You've been like given the keys to a community that has the potential to change the course of history. Do you understand
Oh yes,
the
my
meaning of the mission that has been bestowed upon you?
it is a grand mission. I will say, and the anxiety attacks and panic attacks that I have basically daily prove that it's a lot of work and a
Well,
lot
all
of
I can
stress.
say is, hey, stay strong, stay strong, keep the course, follow your heart because eventually it's nothing but,
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll together like we'll reach some kind of a safe harbor together like as a community.
I hope so too, man. We're working absurd hours, amounts of hours every week. I mean, I haven't had any. I had 2 days off this year, and that was because I went to the hospital twice. So that was the only time I had days off this year.
Oh my God.
So that was mostly stress related. So, and I've used all my savings to keep the lights on and turned down two jobs, cozy government jobs that I could,
Oh my God.
you know, I'd hate my life doing them, but they would pay good. but but I feel like this is what I want to do, and I want to do it with everyone here, especially the people like you that actually care about it. I want to.
I'm in a similar situation. I too. I used to have a business. It went under during COVID, as I told you. And look, if I'm not doing this, then I'll probably go look for a job. But I'm hanging on thanks to my savings and thanks to my conviction, and I'm trying to change the world because I feel that it's something that has meaning, and I want to do good to the world. So we're gonna do our best, and we'll see how
Yeah.
things go on.
And that's kind of explains why my goal since like the past 2.5 years has always been to try to get as many young people into knowing what silver is or stacking. I mean, knowing about it first, that's probably the hardest part. I could tell them to buy it, but they'll just, put it in a corner and forget about it. No, I want them to
That's
know
the
about it.
that's the optimistic thing about the whole story, that we do have some young people, we do have some new blood, and it's encouraging. And I think these young people have the potential, as I said before, to change the world to the better. Because if they only pull that linchpin, they create some chaos in the economic system, but in doing so, they take the power from the elites to create money out of nothing, currency out of nothing. And they force them to go on some kind of a sound money system. And I think it's going to begin to heal the world. It's going to be very painful at first. It's going to be very chaotic at first. But it's like the only positive path that we can imagine, at least that I can imagine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thankful. I'm grateful to know you, man. I'm glad you reached out.
Thank you. Really, thank you for having me.
I'm reaching out to other people too. So anyone else that wants to, we want to highlight the community. I don't give a fuck what you do. Like I'm just a guy in a shower curtain and stuff. So like, I don't care what you do, what you got going on. If you want to come on, you're a part of the community. Everyone that participates, whatever. You're part of the community. I want to highlight you and show that we appreciate you for being part of the community. I want to know what you do, why you like silver, whatever. Just you can just come on and talk about whatever you got to talk about. Or if you're a content creator like the Silver Hermit here, which I'm gonna make sure I put up his YouTube channel again.
Yes, like brand new YouTube channel. Please subscribe. More stuff is coming. I'm going to translate my stuff from Hebrew to English, and I'm going to publish it as quickly as I can.
That's up there right now. I got your Substack. I'll put that up, the Silver Hermit Substack. I also got your art page up here as well. And yeah, guys, and all these links, all the links to this will be in the description at the bottom of this. Thank you again for hanging out with me. Hang out with me for like 5-10 minutes after this, and we'll get going. Any last words? Any last words?
Just say goodbye and thank you to everyone.
Thank you for hanging out with us. And thank you, everyone that sat through listening to me mouth breathe and vape the whole time during this interview. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night and stay degen.
It was our great pleasure to have the Silver Hermit for being our first SilverDegenClub community member interview extravaganza. Everyone, please make sure to follow and show your love to the Silver Hermit and ask questions that we can ask him on the next interview. And now, it's time to honor the Patreon members supreme. GG Bullion and hashtag Drain the Mint is Stupid are the Silver Chads who continue to refill our anime waifu dirty panty supplies. Remember, if you want to have your name shouted out, you can join our Patreon and help add to our panty stack. See you fucks later.